Good evening, everybody. I am Paula Ludwig with the Atlantic Institute, and I want to welcome you to Spiritual Poetry tonight. And Cheryl So, one of our advisory board members, is going to be leading this. The Atlantic Institute is about promoting getting to know your neighbor, different cultures, that sort of thing. Our vision is of a peaceful world. And I'm going to play a 2-minute video about the Atlantic Institute, and then we're going to turn it over to Cheryl for our program tonight. All right. Wait, share screen. There we go. Share sound. Share.
The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting harmonious coexistence between peoples of various cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. We seek this goal through peaceful dialogue, education initiatives, and community organization. Our dialogue events bring together experts, community and faith leaders, and knowledge seekers to address social issues that affect us all. We feel dialogue is the most important element in peaceful coexistence, so we try and maintain several panel discussions, TED Talk events, and book clubs throughout the year. These events touch on social issues, race relations, and cultural understanding and are a mainstay of our programming. The Atlantic Institute's education events are extremely important to our mission of understanding. We want to promote socially forward critical thinking to students of all ages. To that end, we have developed programs that seek to grow the creative spirit of students and help them think about their communities and the world around them. Our Future Leaders of Dialogue event brings together nominated elite students to learn from each other as well as political and business leaders. Our art and essay contest gives students a theme about important societal issues and allows them to create wonderful works of art and writing while steering their minds towards improving their world. We are always seeking ways to educate youths and adults in order to make a peaceful world for all of us. Our community events are designed to transform neighbors into friends and groups of people into a community. By associating with other nonprofits or by our own initiative, we are always trying to discover new avenues to improve our neighborhoods, places of worship, and community centers. We host cooking demonstrations of food from other cultures, work with various nonprofits to help elevate the work of others, and try to find a way to make the lives of those who are disenfranchised or marginalized better. Building a more peaceful world starts in our backyards, so we are dedicated to improving our communities and associations. The Atlantic Institute is always seeking like-minded volunteers and collaborators. If you would like to learn more, find volunteer opportunities, or just want to chat with our staff, please visit our website at www.atlanticinstitutesc.org or follow us on Facebook. We will never run out of fun, educational, peaceful events, so come join us to help make this world a better place full of understanding and unity.
Looking for a tool to capture
Oops, not that one. All right. I want to welcome everybody else that just came in. I'm going to put where I'm from in the chat. And the reason we do this is that when my bosses want to know how a program goes, I can then point out to them that we've had people from all over the world attending some of these programs and that we should continue doing it. Last year, we had people from 41 different states and 20 different countries attend one or more programs. So if you all would just in the chat at some time, and you can do it to me individually if you want, and it's just city, state, country. It just shows how far we've reached out. And I want to thank you all for attending. And Cheryl, I'm now turning it over to you.
Okay. A little bit about me. I am retired. I worked at the University of South Carolina as the Interfaith Initiatives Coordinator, which means that I worked with chaplains of our registered student religious organizations. That was the primary focus of my job for probably the last 10 years I worked there. And I loved it because I got to interact with people from a variety of religious traditions, and I really enjoyed that work. the presentation tonight is, I am not an expert on spiritual poetry. I will say that from the beginning, but I enjoy reading and absorbing it, I would say. This presentation was previously given to a group called Women of Many Faiths, which formed in Columbia after an event called Partners in Dialogue, which was in the early 90s. People from different religious traditions, Christian, Jewish, Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, just a variety of folks from different traditions got together to share their traditions, to share music, art, all sorts of elements from their various faiths. And after that program, the women didn't want to stop meeting. So they formed the group Women of Many Faiths and have met ever since, monthly when it was possible to meet in person. They've been Zooming a good bit over the time during the pandemic, but are back to in-person meetings now. So I'm hoping to see them actually this week. Every spring, there's a retreat at the home of one of our members. And this particular presentation was part of a retreat. I think it was year before last. So that was the origin of this effort. And without further ado, I'm going to start sharing my screen. I hope this works. Okay.
I want to know if you could put a link to Women of Many Faiths in Zoom.
I don't really have a link to it because the way that we come together is by it's just an email list. So
and it's just here in the Columbia, South Carolina area, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I can give you the email for the person who announces the meetings. I'll send that to you, Paula. So if there's anybody who's close by who might want to join us, we can share that.
No, all our participants tonight are out of state.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I love this quote from Khalil Gibran. I love you when you bow in your mosque, kneel in your temple, pray in your church, for you and I are sons of one religion, and it is the spirit. So basically, I would define spiritual poetry as anything that connects you to the holy or the transcendent. And there are all varieties of spiritual poems. I've picked a few to share with you tonight. Okay. We'll get rid of the extraneous stuff. There we go. The first one I selected was, from Solomon ibn Gabriel, or Solomon bin Judah. This is from the 11th century. He was an Andalusian poet and a Jewish philosopher with a Neoplatonic bent. He published over 100 poems, as well as works of biblical exegesis, philosophy, ethics, and satire. One source credits Ibn Gabriel with creating a golem, possibly female, for household chores. That kind of threw me for a loop, but I guess we'll forgive him for that. What I would really like is for some of you who are online with us to volunteer to to help in reading these poems and reflecting with us. Is there anyone who'd like to read this one? Anyone? Shanti? Yeah, please.
Thank you, and thank you for having this event. Thou art one, the beginning of all computation, the base of all construction. Thou art one, and in the mystery of thy oneness, the wise of heart are astonished, for they know not what it is. Thou art one, and thy oneness neither diminishes nor increases, neither lacks nor exceeds. Thou art one, but not as the one that is counted or owned, for number and change cannot reach thee, nor attribute nor form. Thou art one, but my mind is too feeble to set thee a law or a limit, and therefore I say, I will take heed to my ways that I sin not with my tongue. Thou art one, and thou art exalted high above abasement and falling, not like a man who falls when he is alone.
Any thoughts about this poem?
That is fantastic. That is just fantastic.
I think it's interesting that he mentions computation and construction. A lot of people don't know what excellent mathematicians folks in the Middle East were back at this time. The Arab population and the Jewish scholars were very adept in using mathematics. And I like that that was included in this poem, because I think we try to quantify the holy, the transcendent, but it's impossible, of course. It's impossible to do that. And so when we try to do it, we are frustrated. I like that he mentions that. And the idea of God or the holy as a oneness is important. That's a concept that's hard to conceive, but it is what it is. He says, thou art one, but my mind is too feeble to set thee a law or a limit. And I think that is one of the challenges of contemplating the holy, is that we are rather incapable of conceiving the wholeness of God or the universe or the creator. So yeah, I like that one. Let's move on. I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Rabia of Basra. I encountered her maybe 5 or 6 years ago. She was a Sufi mystic who lived in the 8th century. She was regarded as the first female saint of Sufism, the mystical tradition of Islam. And unfortunately, there's very little available of what she wrote. It's very limited, so it's nice to have this poem. Would anyone, Dorian, would you like to read this one?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Let's see here. I have loved thee with 2 loves, a selfish love and a love that is worthy of thee. As for the love which is selfish, therein I occupy myself with thee, to the exclusion of all others. But in the love which is worthy of thee, thou dost raise the veil that I may see thee. Yet it is the praise, not mine in this or that, but the praise is to thee in both that and this.
This is a little complicated. To me, I think it's a little complicated. I'm not sure I understand these two loves. I don't understand the dichotomy, but I think what she's saying is the selfish love is absorbed in the holy. It's taken up completely with occupying herself with the holy to the exclusion of all others. So in order to not be selfish, we have to engage with other people. We have to be one who is contemplating but not separated from humanity. That's sort of what I'm reading here. Anyone else? Dorian, do you want to interpret a bit?
I would agree. I take it as that with the selfish love, of course, she's loving the person the way that she wants to. And then with the love that's worthy of thee, I figure that's more so loving them for who they actually are, as opposed to what she wants. But yeah.
Okay.
Also, I see that if it's referring to the divine or God, that there's such pleasure in the feeling of love and the contemplation when it's someone like a great saint who, and that's in a way kind of selfish. But in other times, when she says, thou dost raise the veil that I may see thee, something else happens that's beyond her. I love the ending, that the praise that comes from her is given
Sorry.
to thee, no matter what kind of love it is, it all comes from the one she is addressing this to. Thank you.
Okay. I would encourage you, if you have time to kind of follow up and look up some information on these poets, because I didn't know a lot of these. I was aware of Rabia al-Basri before I put this together, but some of the other poets I had no exposure to before. So encourage you to explore. Now I think most of us are familiar with Rumi. Lots of people quote Rumi and enjoy him. He was a 13th century Persian poet and a mystic. It says here, Rumi is a descriptive name meaning the Roman, since he lived most of his life in an area called Rum, because it was once ruled by the Byzantine Empire. The general theme of Rumi's thought, like that of other mystic and Sufi poets, is essentially that of the concept of Tawhid, union with his beloved, the primal root, from which or whom he has been cut off and become aloof, and his longing and desire to restore it. And a lot of the poems of Rumi, and I don't know if you're familiar with another poet called Hafiz, but there's a lot of humor involved in Rumi's poetry, and a lot of just they talk a lot about being drunk, even though in their traditions that you're not supposed to drink. So that it's kind of interesting that they address drunkenness so much, but what they're referring to really is the drunkenness of ecstasy that comes from being connected to the holy. Is there someone else who'd like to read? SR? Would you? No, not ready. Okay, I'll read this one then. No, I am not roaming aimlessly around the streets and bazaar. I am a lover searching for his beloved. God, have mercy on me. I am walking around troubled. I have done wrong and sinned, and I am walking around wounded. I have drunk the wine of desire and am strolling around, beloved. Though I may seem drunk, I am quite sober. So he's letting us know that he's not talking about drunkenness that comes from imbibing spirits. He is drunk from imbibing the spirit, the one that he searches for. So that's a nice one. Okay.
Cheryl, we have had a request for this, the slides. If you would share them. And SR said, I would absolutely love to, but I'm on a bus. So
Oh, okay. So you don't want to seem as though you're talking to yourself in a strange way.
yes, SR, enjoy. And
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's move on. Okay, this is Matsuo Basho, the most famous poet of the Edo period in Japan. During his lifetime, Basho was recognized for his works in the collaborative Hakai no Renga form. Today, after centuries of commentary, he is recognized as the greatest master of haiku, then called hokku. His poems were influenced by his firsthand experience of the world around him, often encapsulating the feeling of a scene in a few simple elements. And this doesn't particularly mention a spiritual connection, but I think with most haiku, there's an implied spiritual foundation for the poetry, because it is often connected to meditation and the fruits of meditation. So anyone want to read this one? It's very short. Dorian?
I'll read it.
Okay.
Beneath the autumn sky, some blossoms grow, which never see a bird or butterfly.
So what does that say to you? It's
Mm,
a bit of a puzzle.
it is. No, because I feel like it says a lot, even though it's so simple, like you said, in the style of it. But yeah, I'm having a hard time explaining.
Well, he talks about autumn, which is not a time when you expect a lot of flowers. It's a time when things are settling down for the winter and dying. And there's a bit of sadness because the blossoms that bloom in the autumn are not visited by the pollinators. They are they're going to wither and die without the opportunity for generation. They're not going to be pollinated. They're not going to create a fruit or a seed. And I think that's it's a sad thought.
It's,
But they're still beautiful. They still experience beauty, but perhaps not.
This is so lovely. Thank you. It has such a feeling that it conveys without having to understand necessarily. You really feel like it enters you.
Mm.
I was thinking too that I didn't realize the things you just explained, which I really appreciate. So thank you. And that also that some blossoms grow, which is that things are growing that are beautiful that we don't necessarily see. And so there are possibly beautiful things around, regardless whether we see them or not.
One thing I love about having the internet is that people share some really remarkable beauty. Um, they share a lot of crap too, but there's some just marvelous things that get shared by people on Facebook and Instagram. They find something lovely and have the impulse to share. And I love that people have the impulse to share things that are beautiful and unusual and that some of us might not see if they weren't shared. So enjoy that. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Eunice Emery. Now, I had never heard of this person before I put this together and found him online. He's a Turkish poet and a Sufi mystic, and a ruler of sorts. They call him Sultan Yunus Emre. The poems of Sultan Yunus Emre, despite being fairly simple on the surface, evidence his skill in describing quite abstruse mystical concepts in a clear way. His poetry expresses a deep personal mysticism and humanism and love for God. He was a contemporary of Rumi, who lived in the same region. Rumi composed his collection of stories and songs for a well-educated urban circle of Sufis, writing primarily in the literary language of Persian. Yunus Emre, on the other hand, traveled and taught among the rural poor, singing his songs in the Turkish language of the common people. I'll read this one. Simplicity. The rivers all in paradise flow with the word Allah, Allah, and every longing nightingale he sings and sings, Allah, Allah. Very simple, but depths of meaning. The nightingale is longing, wanting connection. And I think that's a lot of what we look for in spiritual poetry is the desire to connect with the holy. And that's it's an important concept and an important feeling. Let's see, let's go. Oops. I was surprised to find this. I wanted to include something from the continent of America and South America, and I specifically looked for something that was from that region, and I was very happy to find this because you don't really think of the Aztec people as poets necessarily, but I was glad to find this. The passionate love with which the Nahuas cultivated song, music, and the dance is a subject of frequent comment by the historians of Mexico. These arts are invariably mentioned as prominent features of the Aboriginal civilization. No public ceremony was complete without them. They were indispensable in the religious services held in the temples. Through their assistance, the sacred and historical traditions were preserved, and the entertainment of individuals received their chief luster and charm from their association with these arts. Anybody want to take a shot at this? Shanti, would you like to read this one?
Thank you for these wonderful poems. Nahuatl Aztec song. We only came to sleep. We only came to dream. It is not true. No, it is not true that we came to live on the earth. We are changed into the grass of springtime. Our hearts will grow green again and they will open their petals. But our body is like a rose tree. It puts forth flowers and then withers.
What's your response to that? What does that say to you?
That the life on earth is a dream of who we are, that we are something beyond and deeper than the body that will wither, put forth flowers and wither. We are here on earth, we have body, but our essence and our spiritual life grows green and continues and changes and is not dependent on the body or the external world.
Yeah, I thought this was really beautiful, and I was very happy to find it because I did not regard the Aztecs as particularly spiritual in this way, so I was glad to find it. It's a good one. Okay. Mirabai, 15th and 16th century devotional poet, composed over 1,000 devotional bhajans expressing her love for Lord Krishna. From an early age, Mirabai felt an irresistible attraction and devotion to Sri Krishna. As a young child, she was given a doll of Krishna, which she worshipped as if it embodied the living presence of Krishna. Although people misunderstood her, she considered Krishna to be both her best friend, lover, and husband. Someone like to read this one? Paula, how about you read one?
All right. The plums tasted sweet to the unlettered desert tribal girl. But what manners to chew into each. She was ungainly, low caste, ill-mannered, and dirty. But the god took the fruit she'd been sucking. Why? She knew how to love. She might not distinguish splendor from filth, but she tasted the nectar of passion. Might not know any Veda, but a chariot swept her away. Now she frolics in heaven, ecstatically bound to her God. The Lord of fallen fools, says Mira, will save anyone who can practice rapture like that. I myself, in a previous birth, was a cowherding girl, a guklu.
It's really interesting. She's
It's
right.
like
Yeah.
it's like no matter who you are, where you are, you're loved. From splendor to filth, you're loved.
And I think it says something about the value of passion, that it transforms us from within, that it creates something in us that's connects us to the holy. If we can be passionate, if we can find joy in simple things. This is an unlettered desert tribe girl, but she is swept up by Krishna, who sweeps her away because she knows how to practice rapture. And we don't often think of practicing rapture. We think of being immersed in it, but practicing rapture. That's a wonderful concept. I really like that. And it's available to anyone, to all of us. We can all do that. That was a nice one. I really like that one. Okay. Saint Francis of Assisi. I think you're all familiar with the poem of Saint Francis that gets shared all the time, the familiar one. This is a bit different. It's the reason I like this poem is because St. Francis is talking about concepts that we deal with today. The idea that nature is personified. He refers to brother sun, sister moon, and makes nature personal, that we associate with the earth and everything in the earth and in the cosmos as personified. I really like that. I'll read this one and see how we go. Most high, all powerful, all good Lord, all praise is yours, all glory, all honor, and all blessing. To you alone, most high, do they belong. No mortal lips are worthy to pronounce your name. Be praised, my Lord, through all your creatures, especially through my Lord, brother sun, who brings the day. And you give light through him, and he's beautiful and radiant in all his splendor. Of you, most high, he bears the likeness. Be praised, my Lord, through sister moon and the stars. In the heavens you have made them precious and beautiful. Be praised, my Lord, through brothers wind and air, and clouds and storms and all the weather, through which you give your creatures sustenance. Be praised, my Lord, through sister water. She is very useful and humble and precious and pure. Be praised, my Lord, through brother fire, through whom you brighten the night. He is beautiful and cheerful and powerful and strong. Be praised, my Lord, through our sister, Mother Earth, who feeds us and rules us and produces various fruits with colored flowers and herbs. Be praised, my Lord, through those who forgive for love of you, through those who endure sickness and trial. Happy those who endure in peace, for by you, Most High, they will be crowned. Be praised, my Lord, through our sister, bodily death, from whose embrace no living person can escape. Woe to those who die in mortal sin. Happy those she finds doing your most holy will. The second death can do no harm to them. Praise and bless my Lord, and give thanks and serve him with great humility. I think you all know the story of Saint Francis. He was raised with a life of privilege and was and rejected his wealth, rejected his family's wealth, and became an itinerant preacher and lived in poverty and founded the Order of the Franciscans. He's known for his love of creatures, especially of birds and the small creatures of the earth. This is a bit different from the poem that we all know so well, but it's I think the thing that I like about it is that, again, he personalizes the elements, the wind and air, clouds, water, the earth, fire. He has a personal relationship with the things that the Creator has made, and spends his time praising and honoring. So a bit different for what we know about St. Francis, but I like that one. Tagore. How many of you know of Rabindranath Tagore? Are you all familiar with him? No. He won a Nobel Prize for his poetry. He was a Bengali poet. He wrote a lot about loss. He's a much more, he was a 19th and 20th century poet. His most famous work is Gitanjali. And he was the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. If you've never read him, I would encourage you to explore Tagore. His poems are just so lyrical and beautiful. This one is particularly nice. Anybody like to read this one? Dorian, would you like to?
Okay. The Child Angel. Let your life come amongst them like a flame of light, my child, unflickering and pure, and delight them into silence. They are cruel in their greed and their envy. Their words are like hidden knives, thirsting for blood. Go and stand amidst their scowling hearts, my child, and let your gentle eyes fall upon them like the forgiving peace of the evening over the strife of the day. Let them see your face, my child, and thus know the meaning of all things. Let them love you and love each other. Come and take your seat in the bosom of the limitless, my child. At sunrise, open and raise your heart like a blossoming flower. And at sunset, bend your head and in silence, complete the worship of the day.
This is
I like it.
This is so beautiful. As I said, Tagore writes a lot about loss. I believe he lost his wife at an early age. She died when she was perhaps in her late 30s. And so he had a lot of sadness in his poetry. The Child Angel. I don't know if this refers to a child that he lost or a child that he knew that passed away, but I think this is so beautiful because he asks the child to change people, around them. Raise your heart like a blossoming flower. Complete the worship of the day. It's giving such power to such a fragile person, child, to open hearts and to change people, transform them. Go and stand amidst their scowling hearts. That's so powerful. I really like Tagore. I hope you look, if you're not familiar with him, I hope that you look for him and do some more reading. Because he's just an amazing poet. Let's see. And this is this is online. If you Google it, if you Google this term, oh shoot, you'll find a lot of Celtic poetry, and some of it is very, very lovely. There's just a lot of it there, and I think you'll enjoy it if you go and do some reading. But if you just Google this term, Carmina Gadelica, there's quite a collection online of the Celtic poets. So, Dorian, would you like to read this one?
Okay. Early on the day of Easter Monday, I saw on the brine a duck and a white swan swim together. I heard on Tuesday the snipe of the seasons bleeding on high and calling. On Wednesday, I had been cutting the channel fucus and then saw I-3 arising. Saw IV3 arising. I knew immediately that a flittering there was. Blessing there would not be after that. The girth of bride calm, the girth of Mary mild, the girth of Michael strong. Upon me and mine, upon me and mine.
Alexander Carmichael. I'm not very familiar with him. I have to confess, but I like this one.
Yeah.
Snipe of the seasons. What a phrase. Leading on high and calling. That's a nice one. But I encourage you to look for this collection because the Celtic poets are just lovely. And there's a lot to explore there. Okay, let's move along. Okay, that's kind of the end of the collection. I wanted to share with you one of my poems. I don't write a lot of anything, and especially not poetry. But this poem, I had a conversation with my son when he was about 8 or 9 years old. When he was young, he was unfortunately a really abstract thinker. And it caused him a lot of grief because his peers really were not interested in talking about the kinds of things that he was thinking. And so a lot of times we'd have to, when he came home at night, we'd have to debrief because he was frustrated by not being able to talk on the level that he wanted to. And so we had a conversation, and this is the poem that resulted from that conversation. And I'll read it because it's mine. My little cynic asks, what was there before there was God? Why can't I see him? If he's talking to me, why can't I hear? We talk of unseen, unheard worlds, of mystery that flickers in the soul's senses, at the corners of the mind's eye. I tell of universes in small, the single drop depending from this very petal that holds 10,000 shapes of life. He wants to know the highest number there is. I tell him and he laughs. Infinity 1, infinity 2, infinity 3. And he actually did that. He just floored me when he did that. I thought it was astounding. And he was so proud of himself. He just laughed. That's one of my very brief attempts at writing poetry. And I'm wondering if anyone has brought a poem to share. I would love to hear if you have one. Anybody? Does anyone have a poem?
I would love to share something, but I didn't prepare, but I'm sure I can find something in a second or two. I love this. I'm so sorry I had to divert my attention. I'm at work and people came by and I am at work, so
Are
I'm in
you-
California time, so it's still, before work closes.
Yeah. Are you perhaps a librarian?
No, I just put in the chat, I have a monthly spiritual poetry meetup called Spiritual Poetry International
Oh, wow.
on Zoom, and everybody's welcome. So I put the link in the chat. If you register at Meetup, I'll send you the password. I can put it in the chat, actually. I just don't publish it because I don't want to get Zoom bombed. But obviously you guys are not going to do that. The problem is I don't remember the actual Zoom link at the moment. Let me see if I can copy it. It's at the Meetup page, but I used to meet in my apartment years and years ago, and I've been having this group for 10 years now, but now we're meeting on Zoom because of COVID. And so it's gradually built up, and I think you should advertise whatever, I don't know if you already do, on Meetup, because in one way it's disappointing because a very small fraction of people who RSVP or who are members actually show up. But on the other hand, it reaches a lot of people, and over time, the membership builds up. So like now there's about 1,200 members in my spiritual poetry meetup, and about 25 people show up each time, which is, I'm happy, that's good.
Yeah, before COVID, we did everything in person here in South Carolina. And then COVID hit, and we were doing TED Talks, and our first one that we did on Zoom, nobody came. Like, it was that first March, and nobody wanted to do anything online. And we now do everything online, or what we're calling hybrid, where it's in person and online, because our audiences reach the world. We use Eventbrite because it's free if we're not charging for the event. And I know Meetup is not anymore, or
Oh, that's true. If you're an organizer, I have 2 meetups that I run. So if they fit with the themes of those, you can put them on mine for free. So one is a Spirit Just Tell Me. I mean, I got to set it up, but I would love it. If you want to do this again, I can't guarantee anything,
Yeah.
but I can put it on my meetup group and advertise it there. And I also have a small mailing list, like 70 people.
Oh.
That I send updates to a couple of times a month, and I can tell them, and I think you get a few people. I can't,
Yeah.
3, 4, but
I
I think
understand.
this was so good. And I wish this kind of came in between my little newsletters. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, should I send them another newsletter? And then I thought, no, I kind of promised I'm not going to send them too many emails, and I just sent them one. But I wish I had told them, because and I don't know if SR is the same SR that comes to the spiritual poetry meetup, who's also from India. I don't know if it's the same person or not, but if it is, hello, SR. Because people come mostly US, but from all over, and we have great
Yes.
discussions, and all different people read things. So you hear things you never would have heard. And I love your slides. They're so beautiful.
Yeah, Cheryl did an awesome job. So the Atlantic Institute, we do cultural, interfaith, educational. So our programming is very diverse. We have 3 programs we do every month right now. One is called Life Skills for Teens. One is called Cultural Creations, which is like crafting and hobbies and stuff like that. And then we have Cuisine of Different Cultures. And those 3 we do every month. And then we throw in other things like tonight. We asked our advisory board to help us out with some programming, and Cheryl was kind enough to do this one for us. And but generally, yeah, we're a nonprofit, and we're one of those nonprofits that doesn't feed the homeless. So getting funding from the government is very hard. So the meetup, while I know is just $100, it's $100 more than we have sometimes.
Yeah.
So, and we have over 1,000 people following us on Eventbrite, which I know doesn't sound like much, but if you get in Eventbrite and look at people's followers, it's actually quite quite a few.
Oh, that's a lot. Yeah, that's a lot.
So
I
yeah,
have a spiritual poetry meetup, but I also have like a spiritual anything meetup. So
oh,
if you
okay.
ever have something that falls into that category, that doesn't have to be poetry, let me know and you can put it on there as well.
So in
And-
July, we do a program called Tours of Faiths, where we go to different faith organizations and have them give us tours. Last year we did the church, the famous church, one by sea, two by land, or I'm not even
Oh,
sure how to say that.
right.
Yeah, we got a professional tour of that one. The year before, I think we did a Jerusalem kind of tour thing. So that one we might contact you on, and I will put a note in there to contact you and see if you would be willing to put those out on your meetup. Now our Zoom account is just the basic paid one where we can only have 100 people on our Zoom link. So we have to monitor, we have to do RSVPs because we have to monitor how many people are coming in. So, and we've gotten close to that on our cultural creations class. So yeah, we're getting there, but we decided we would never go back to just doing stuff in South Carolina. Because we are reaching the world with our programming. I mean, even tonight we had specific Northeast, Northwest, California. Dorian, I don't remember where you said you were from.
Alabama.
Alabama, yes. And Cheryl and I are in South Carolina. So
And SR said he's Bengali.
yes,
put in
he's
the chat.
Bengali, but I think he's
Or
in the
she,
US.
excuse me. I don't know he or she.
Yes. So anyways, we decided we would never just do things just in person, mainly. There's a few things that we do just in person, but we have a strong Turkish volunteers, and so Ramadan is a big thing, and we are doing iftar dinners, and those of course are done in person because you can only eat in person. So, but anyway, so yes, thank you, Shante. I will definitely put you on, keep your email active, and when we do interfaith stuff, I will send you that information. And if you would love to, I would love for you to help us get the word out there. Like I said, we are out there, so, and we love it. Like, I was so excited last year when I said, I want to get this year, Cheryl, I want to get all 50 states. All the states. I want all the states this year. We got 41 last year. I was like, so I want, and it's mainly out in the Midwest that we didn't get. But I want to get all the states this year, and I want to double the countries. Like I had 20 countries last year, so I want 40 countries this next year. So yes.
That's great. And
I
like
know,
said,
it is.
if you're
It's fun.
willing to do this presentation on the spiritual poetry again, let me know and I'll put it up on that. But because I know if people knew about it, at least a few people would have come. But
Awesome.
this was wonderful. I'm sorry I missed bits of it because, like I said, I apologize. I'm sorry. This was
That's all right.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Just one last thought. I don't know if you've explored the Gospel of Thomas, but it's one of my favorite collections of philosophy, religion. I love the Gospel of Thomas, and this phrase in particular, I always come back to it. It has such levels of meaning, and especially for these times, we need to consume the holy and not be consumed by the trappings of power. And it says a lot to me. Anyway, that's why I just threw it in there at the last. But the Gospel of Thomas, there's many translations, and I encourage you to explore it because it's beautiful. And that's it. I'm done. And Paula, if you wanna.
You
share-
have to hit the stop share, Cheryl, so we can go back to the,
How do I do that?
it's usually at the top. I got you. There we go. All right, everyone, I want to thank you for coming. Is there any other thoughts? Anybody want to share a poem real quick? We have reached our hour, but if anybody'd like to share one real quick, there is just a handful of us here, so.
Don't be shy. I'd love to hear if you've got something.
I don't have a poem, but I will say it was a great presentation. So I'm definitely planning to stay connected.
Thank you. We would love that. We like I said, we have those 3 programs we do every month, but we do different things, educational, just dialogue. We used to do TED Talks, but we stopped doing those. And just different things. I know we have a book club going on right now. They're doing the book A Man Called Ove, or it's OVE. I know it's more. And it is The Man Called Otto, I think is the movie that's out with Tom Hanks right now. The book is the international one, and I'm not sure where it was from. I don't remember, quite honestly, but they're doing that one right now, and they're going to discuss that, I want to say on the 16th, I think. I'm not in charge of that one. We have a cultural creations this weekend, and it is glass etching. And then next weekend we have cuisine of different cultures, and it is a chop salad. So yes, please check out our website. It's Atlantic Institute, South Carolina. Also, this video will be on our Atlantic Institute SC YouTube channel. And you can go ahead, and if you go out there and like our channel, I believe when we put a new video on, it'll let you know. And we have a volunteer who does that, so it'll be sometime this week or the beginning of next week, whenever my volunteer can get to it. And then you can watch it again or share it with people. And we look forward to seeing you all at other events. Cheryl, anything else?
That's it. I'm done.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I am going to stop the recording now, and